Good morning, everyone. Well, Wes Lee is off this morning, so I'm flying solo. Today we're going to talk about the drought monitor and then some of the rains that have helped improve but also worsen the drought monitor, and then take a look at May as we go forward. Let's get right to that new drought monitor map. As you can see, we have some really good improvements across the eastern third of the state. We even have some of the D0, that yellow color, all the way over into central Oklahoma. That's abnormally dry, and that's not a drought condition. So we do have big improvements coming over from the east to the west. But unfortunately, across much of the western half of the state, up into north central Oklahoma, we do still have much of that extreme to exceptional drought going on, especially down in far southwest Oklahoma and the Panhandle, where that exceptional drought is still holding firm. Now, the rains that we had that impact this current drought monitor map, we'll take a look at the last 30 days. So we're missing some rains that came after this, but we do see that big hole down in far southwest Oklahoma where the light and dark blues indicate less than a half inch of rain in most cases. Also, much of that far northwestern corner up into the Panhandle, the same situation. But then we have streaks of heavier rains going from west to east. Those are where those thunderstorms trained across the state and help improve conditions in those areas. Okay, that departure from normal rainfall map for the same last 30-day period. Pretty easy to see where the good surplus amounts are across far eastern Oklahoma, extending over into central Oklahoma, and those big deficits from southwest up through the north central parts of the state, and some a little bit lower deficits across the general area between northwestern and southeastern Oklahoma. It shows up much better on the percent of normal rainfall map. The worst hit areas over the last 30 days, obviously that far southwestern corner, basically nearly the entire southwestern quarter of the state, and then of course up into the north central parts of the state, northwest, and the western Panhandle. But those big surpluses over across the eastern parts of the state, over into the central parts of the state. So kind of a mixed bag between the northwestern half of the state and the southeastern half of the state. A little bit of invasion here and there of deficits and surpluses into each category, however. Okay, let's take a look ahead at May from the outlooks from the Climate Prediction Center. Again, we want cooler than normal and wetter than normal conditions. So for the temperatures, I'm afraid we have increased odds of above normal temperatures across the entire state, but especially down there across that southwestern corner that's so hit hard by drought. However, on the precipitation, we see increased odds of above normal precipitation across basically the eastern two-thirds of the state, encroaching a little bit over into northwest Oklahoma, but those odds are even greater increased up across far northeastern Oklahoma. So a little bit of a dichotomy there from the east to the west. As we get far out into the western Panhandle, that's where we see the increased odds of below normal precipitation, which is not good for that area, of course. So you put all that together and we see chances for drought improvement and even removal for the state as we go through May. So at the end of May, we expect to see improvements in drought in all but basically the western half of the Panhandle. The drought's expected to persist in that area, but really it'll only take a good 1 or 2 rains to even improve in that area. So we have had some improvements. We're expecting more improvements as we go through the month. You know, May's one of our wettest months. May and June, that's the wettest part of the season. So if we get some improvements over much of the state through May, then we have the rest of June to look forward to and hopefully kick some of that drought out of here. That's it for this time. We'll see you next time on the Mesonet Weather Report.